Time now to look ahead at what's going to be making news in Canadian politics this week. Malala Yousafzai will be visiting Canada on Wednesday. She's an outspoken advocate for the rights of girls to learn and attend school after being the target of Taliban assassins at 15 years old. For more on this and other stories, we're joined by the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. Laura, thanks for being here this morning.
Good morning, Ben.
All right, so what is on Malala's agenda during her visit, and why is it an important event for Prime Minister Trudeau?
Well, Malala is set to come to Ottawa on Wednesday. She'll be meeting with the Prime Minister and spending the day on Parliament Hill. She's going to address the House of Commons, and this is because she's receiving honorary Canadian citizenship, which is quite rare. Only about 6 people have this. Nelson Mandela, the Aga Khan. So an important event. Actually, Malala was supposed to come here to Ottawa in 2014, but it was actually on the day of the Parliament Hill shootings. So this happened under the government of Prime Minister Stephen Harper, but of course it's a non-partisan event, and now Justin Trudeau is taking this up. So it's an important event for the Liberal government, of course, because Trudeau calls himself a feminist prime minister who stands up for the rights of women and girls. We just had a gender-based analysis in the budget, and Prime Minister Trudeau was in New York last week talking about the rights of women. So this is a symbolic event for the Liberals, but of course all parliamentarians are going to participate. But this is something that the Trudeau government has taken on as one of their main causes to support the equality of women.
All right, so Malala's visit, nonpartisan, something coming up expected this week that is definitely partisan. We would not have seen under the Tories. Government's pot legislation expected. So what can we as the citizens of this country expect from this legislation?
Absolutely, Ben. You're right. The Tories are not down with the pot bill. And this is coming on Thursday, and it's before a 2-week break. Parliament takes a break for Easter, and then they're on another break after that. So we won't get to it in Parliament for a couple of weeks, but then committees will start studying it. So that's right. The Liberals promised in their election platform that they were going to legalize pot. So the bill is coming on Thursday. We had a task force that made several recommendations, and the Liberals are expected to take up a lot of those recommendations. One of them is that people would be allowed to carry 30 grams of pot, grow 4 plants in their house. But we're also expecting lots of restrictions on the way that pot will be marketed. We might see similar plain packaging to what we see in tobacco. It won't be as available as alcohol. Another thing that the government's going to have to grapple with is impaired driving. How are they going to measure when people are too high to drive? This is something that the committees will be looking into with this bill. Another thing that's kind of on the table is age limits, and this is going to be up to the provinces. We know that the Prime Minister supports the task force's recommendation that it be 18 or 19 years, depending on the province. So a lot up in the air, but we're going to see some concrete details in the bill on Thursday.
Laura, we were hearing that there's been a little bit of pushback for the day of legalization. We were hearing originally that Canada Day 2018 was the day that pot would be legal across the country, but there's been pushback about that. Do we know whether they want to move it earlier or after July 1st, 2018?
Well, we know that the government wants to have it legalized for next summer, and July 1st was floated around as the date, but then the government's point man on pot, as we call him, Bill Blair, former police chief in Toronto, gave some interviews where he said he doesn't really want to mark Canada Day with the legalization of marijuana. So we're not sure if it's going to be before or after, but I would expect around the date of July 1st, but I don't think the government will want that symbolic date anymore.
Lastly, we are nearing the end of the Conservative leadership race, and Maxime Bernier says that it's really down to him and one other person. Now, I'm guessing that other person is Kevin O'Leary. Is that your sense as well, that it's really a two-person race at this point?
It does seem like Kevin O'Leary and Maxime Bernier are leading in terms of fundraising, and we're going to get a few more specifics about that. The first quarter of this year will be revealed publicly soon. But both men say they've raised about $1 million so far this year, which is a lot, and they both claim to have sold the most memberships, about 35,000, 40,000 new memberships to Conservative members. So that means more people would ostensibly be voting for them, although we're not sure if they can get people out to vote. But it's a 14-person race. It's been a long haul. The vote is on May 27th. It does seem like Kevin O'Leary and Maxime Bernier are leading, but then there's kind of a second tier of people, Lisa Raitt, Erin O'Toole, Andrew Scheer, Kelly Leitch. These are names that could float up because it's a ranked ballot. So if Maxime Bernier and Kevin O'Leary are too polarizing, it might go to people's second and third choices. But we're going to find out more when this fundraising comes. An interesting thing that happened in an interview recently Maxime Bernier gave to the Hill Times, a local paper here on Parliament Hill. He said he'd be happy to have Kevin O'Leary as his finance minister, which is kind of an interesting jab at Mr. O'Leary. Clearly, Maxime Bernier thinks he's in a winning place. We're not even sure if Kevin O'Leary is going to run for a seat in Parliament if he doesn't win this leadership, so I wouldn't expect him to be anyone's finance minister.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary can be an all-or-nothing kind of guy every now and then. Laura Stone in Ottawa, thank you very much.